Hello everyone. I hope traders and investors alike were green on Friday. Friday was an amazing day with that pullback. We were expecting a pullback into the markets and for it to happen going into Friday afternoon, everybody taking profits before market close on a weekend, in the summertime. Really couldn't ask for a better time for it. Now the question is how far are we going to pull back? And we'll look at some levels as we go. We do have an interesting week. I will be, when this video is done, I'm going to go and we'll take a look at this section and actually break down the actual sectors right now because, mostly we're seeing a pullback, but we do have a few sectors that are hanging in there. As for earnings this week, we do have smaller names like Palantir and Chegg. That's at Monday afternoon. Actually have Tyson Monday morning. It's really not a big mover. But it is tradable. Tuesday morning you got ups, Lilly. Oh, looks like Tuesday afternoon, Ribbon and AMC. AMC can always, give some surprises. Got Upstart, Twilio's in there. Roblex on Wednesday morning. Actually, Wendy's is in there too. Maybe we'll get a squeeze play plug Wednesday afternoon. And then going into Thursday, looks like U.S. Foods in there. Yeti's in there. Don't really trade those too much. I actually see Gevo in there on Thursday afternoon. I like that stock. We had, back when I was trading small caps, I've done really well with some little squeezes on that one. So don't have a lot going on with data this week either. But we did have some data come in last week, with earnings and all, and mostly seemed fairly positive. Apple's earnings weren't the greatest. They weren't bad, but they weren't the greatest. They weren't really what was expected. So let's just get looking at some charts, and we'll talk about earnings as we go to the charts and get to the charts. So we can see a strong bearish engulfing candle here on SPX's weekly time frame. Breath chart got a little bit of green there, so we had some positiveness coming into the breath on Friday, and we did hold positive even with that pullback. Strange. So this is in SPX or S&P 500 equal weight sector, and you can see we are pulling back here nicely, and we'll go look at the sectors at the very end of this. You can see, but like I say, this is a more equal weight instead of the tech heavy SPY, and we're seeing a good pullback here as well. So that's can be kind of concerning. The dollar, even a strong down day Friday on the dollar, but so this is a evening star pattern. So below the 9, I could be bearish down to that 20. Still watching that off the 9 for a possible bounce. I don't want to get too carried away until we take that 9 out. VIX, this is also concerning. Strong, big range day on the VIX, but we did close well out of those Bollinger Bands, and that's the third day we've closed outside of the Bollinger Band. So that's also a signal. We do have a gap down here if it decides to come for it. Not much of one, but there's a small gap down there. I go by the wicks, not the candle bodies. But if you go to intraday, you will see, if you go to intraday, you will have candles in that area. So to me, that gap is a small gap. This is crude trading in a nice cup here. Could we pull back and put in a handle? Yes. OPEC is, well, there's no other way to say it. OPEC's greedy. They're trying to drive prices of crude up. With Goldman Sachs coming out, we've seen that come out last week saying that crude demand was up as well. So that's been pushing crude up. And of course, OPEC would like to see it 100 plus a barrel. So, they want to keep cutting. Apple, strong down candle here on Friday. So they did report earnings. They were not bad, but there were some metrics in there that the market just didn't like, and the market was also trading on all-time highs. We were expecting a pullback, and Apple definitely suffered there. Intraday chart on Apple, you can see the nice pullback going into the afternoon. It's fairly tight action until the afternoon. Gold still trading right in between that 9 and 20. It's got to clear that area. Advanced decline lines all pulling back, but you can see small caps down there trying to turn up. So that's a sign as well. AMC trading right on top of the 9. Can this push? Possibly. You can probably draw a trend line right through here. Looks like a possible trend break. I like it if it can get above the 9. Coming into earnings this week, let's see what it can do. AMC can always offer surprises. AMD, strong push here on Friday morning. This one was raging higher and then had a really nice pullback. raging higher. And you can see the hammer candle right off the 15 here. So if you're watching your 15-minute time frame, if you're trading AMD heavily, and I hope you're watching your 15-minute time frame, a very strong hammer candle, and then it's closed above right there. That was the signal. A strong move there. Strong. Amazon, nice pop there. They liked Amazon's earnings, gapped it up, but you can see it did pull back at the end of the day, along with the rest of the market. ARC moving lower, a couple bearish engulfing candles there. Does look like it could see some more downside. AMD. AMD is still trading in that box. Want to see it break out of that box before I'm interested in trading it. Only because, it's simple. It's simple. You got to have room for your price action to move, so it makes it easier to make money. It's really that simple. You want to make sure you have room to move from level to level, whichever your levels could be, level of interest may be, but you want to have room to move. This is closed right into that 50-day. It needs to clear that 50-day, and I preferably want it out of that box. You can also see we also closed under the 9 weekly on AMD. Now, Amazon, you can see the big gap up after hours on the earnings, and it did push Friday as well, but get back to Friday move, still held the overall earnings move. Amazon weekly, we did close above some previous resistance level that we had drawn out there. Such a good sign there. Apple on the weekly, big bearish engulfing candle, closed below the weekly 9. Can we get a pull to that weekly 20? Boeing closed below your daily 9 there as well, so we want to get back above that daily 9. But this is still not a bad looking chart. Nice pop here, come back in, strong breakout, coming back in, trying to flag at the short-term moving average. We know we've been losing the 9 on our intraday chart, so not really surprised to lose the 9 here on the daily. Don't want to get too carried away with trying to go short on that name. BTU. You can see BTU just pretty much trading sideways there. Beyond Meat, still watching this box for a possible breakout. Bitcoin's not really doing a whole lot. You can see the weekly chart has flagged back into your weekly 9 and 20. Going into the daily here, we have broke below the 50 to 9 to 20 there. We do have the 200 down here, but it's not good when you start seeing your 9 and your 20 crossing your 50 on the way down. Just not good seeing your moving averages cross. XLC communication sector still holding in strong here, retesting that 20. You can see the last couple of times we broke down here and tested the 20, we were able to bounce. Will this be a dip buy opportunity? We're going to look at the sectors in more detail. XLP, we talked about this rounded top last Wednesday's video, and it definitely pulled back there. Once again, we're going to talk about that too when we get into the sectors. Cost, talked about this rounded top. Got to clear for anything for a move down. Got to clear that 20. You can see we took the 20 out down here and was able to bounce. So that same thing could be setting up. MACD's trying to pinch and roll over. You can see her little pinch right there and rolling over. It does look like it's got some more downside, like it below that daily 20. DraftKings had a stellar report. This is one we've been watching for a while. It's not a large cap. It's a little more affordable to trade, especially for new beginners trading options with. And it's just been an absolute beast. And they reported that they made money. Very strong move. We've been watching that one for a while. It did give it back Friday. Datadog did break out of this box to the downside, gapped up, and just ripped back down. That's a pretty concerning candle. Let's keep an eye on that. But I want to be down here. I want to break below the low of that pattern, the low of them candles. Lilly just kind of trading sideways right now. Got coming in earnings this week. Ford, head and shoulders pattern still working. I would like to see a move up to that 9 and see if we can get some kind of bear flag at that 9. Doesn't mean it's got to happen, but that's where I would like to take it at. Google, this is still a decent chart, but we still have some gap down here. Did have a down day on Friday. Home Depot, we pushed up into, we were extended here on the weekly chart, pushed up into some resistance. So seeing some down, coming back in, looking for your short-term moving average. Not really surprised here. Really nice push up into breakout of this bottom ascending triangle. Nice push up into resistance. And now trying to pull back in search of that short-term moving average. IWM, Strong push here and pull back here right into the end of the day. QQQ, once again, talked about this last week. We had closed below the 9 and 20. Still remaining below the 9 and 20. You can see the strong pullback here on Friday, closed on the lows. Q's weekly, still above that weekly 9, so that's an area we need to watch for. JP Morgan holding in well. A lot of these other charts pulling back, so let's just keep that in mind. JP Morgan, one of the banks, holding in very well. Mara, still, I would extend that trend line right down through there. I need to see that taken out. Seeing moving averages start to cross here, that's not a good sign. MACD's cooling off. This is holding in well for as strong as that MACD's been cooling. Merck, head and shoulders pattern. This one's finding some horizontal support here, so just keep an eye if Merck can break through this, look for a move down. The only thing that worries me about this one is it can be considered a safety name at times, and they can come forward with a failing market or a market that's pulling back. Meta, so we did close below the daily 9 here. Still got the daily 20. Little gap down there as well. Keep an eye if it does want to pull back. That was one that can fill the gap. You can see we did close on the lows Friday as well. We did try to pop a little bit and pulled right back. MU still had a high close candle, so we still closed on the higher than the open of the day. So we can see this nice pullback. I would draw a trend line right through this area, and to be bullish, I need to be above that trend line. To be bearish, I need to be below this 9 for a move down to the 20 and the 50 down there. I would be careful with this one. I don't know. Look at that MACD. Got the goose head right there. That chart looks like it wants to go higher. Microsoft below the 9 and 20 here on the daily. Microsoft intraday, strong pullback Friday. Most charts did that. Tech really suffered on Friday. That pullback paid. It was a very nice pullback. Microsoft weekly, you can see the weekly 9 starting to turn. A strong bearish Marubozu candle there to the downside, below the weekly 9 with the weekly 9 turning down. Will that weekly 20 hold for support? NVIDIA, this one's still coming into earnings, I believe, next week, but you can see we are below the daily 9 and 20 now. Looks like kind of pushing back up, looking for a short-term moving average or to retest a breakout area, but it has broken out of that channel that we've been watching. NVIDIA closed on the lows here, but we did hold the daily range. So we didn't take out the daily range there, which a lot of charts we did. NVIDIA weekly still holding the 9 weekly there, so that is support. NASDAQ, same, looks a lot like NVIDIA, broke below the daily 9 and 20 there. Retested on that push on Friday and then got snatched back. Netflix holding in. Looks like a higher low. I'm sorry, it looks like a lower high, and this possibly wants to move lower. It's one we can keep an eye on. Q's monthly, already talked about how we could see a small pullback there. Try to put in a handle on that cup. Ribbon breaking down there as well. A strong bearish engulfing candle. You would expect to move down off of that candle. Roku coming back into that daily 9. SPX daily breaking below the 9 and 20, trying to roll over. SLB, let's keep an eye on this one, and the select energy sector names that are trying to push with crude and OPEC. These names need to be on everybody's radar. Above 58.34, set an alert. See if we can get a move up, but it's got to take that out. You can see right here, you got plenty of resistance. So it increased the probabilities of you winning your trade to let it get above resistance. Let it get above that level. If it gets above that level, look for a move higher. Bands coming in. MACD is cooling off there. SoFi coming back in, did close below that 9 and 20 on Friday. The diamond coming back in also to your daily 20. Diamond weekly trying to come into the weekly 9 as well. SPY trying to come back into the weekly 9, strong bearish engulfing candle. You would expect to see some more downside off of that candle, but we got to get confirmation. When I say confirmation, we need a candle, obviously, to gap down and take off running, or a candle to gap or to just to open up. It can even gap up just to open up, but it needs to move below the close of the weekly candle or Friday's close. SPY, we've talked about possibly needing to put in a little handle there. Very cupish. More of a V bottom, and a V bottom's part of the cup family. SPY daily turning down as well. SPY intraday, you can see closed deep on the lows down there. Square, they did not like their earnings, pulled that back, gap down, and it ran. So that's a serious gap and go there. Shop moving lower. So this is a candle pattern. I prefer to see this third candle closing stronger, but we do have the 3 black crows there, so that's one we can keep an eye on this week for a possible move lower. Tesla closed down here deep on the lows. XLK pullback, so we are holding the daily 50 there. This MACD is bearish, just getting started. It does look like it's got some more downside. We got to clear that daily 50 before we're looking for a move lower. Tesla did close below the weekly 9. Not the best setup there. We are back to the 50-day on Tesla. If we can lose the 50-day, we are expecting a move lower. And we have talked about this. You can see the volume profile. We have a nice size hole here. We've lost this area for support. As we can get into this area down here, expect a move lower. Till we come into here, some support around 213 in that area. This MACD is bearish. And didn't see it. I mean, the support, if it even hold, but right now, until it takes out that daily 50, it's not tradable. Below the daily 50, it's tradable to the downside. Uber is rolling over here as well, below the daily 9 and 20. Walmart trading in a very tight little flag, but it has lost the daily 9. Still trading in that little channel. I would draw that little channel, and it needs to break out of that channel for a trade. XLF, this is holding in better than some of the other sectors, that's for sure. I don't like where it's at. I want it above or below the daily 9 and 20. You can see TLT, strong move down, and Friday we did get a strong candle to the upside on the bond. So that's actually a good sign of seeing the bond market reacting. Because the bond market reacting like that's actually driving yields lower, or driving rates lower. So that's a good sign for the market in general. IWM on the weekly, you see a strong. It's not a very strong, but we did get a weekly bearish engulfing candle there. And IWM on the daily, losing the daily moving averages there as well. Did have a strong pop. Looks like it wants to come in. This one could come back in and retest the breakout area and still be healthy. The put to call ratio, strong spike up. We talked about this last week. Looked like we were trying to break out of our little channel. So we got into a trend down here, and went into the didn't spend a whole lot of time into it, but we did move down into the bullish zone. Stayed mostly in the neutral zone, but it was better than all this bearishness that we had over here. But we talked last week that it looked like it did want to push back up and take that little trend out. So the oscillators for the NASDAQ, 97, 99. So market is cooling off here. Let's go and check on some sectors. We come in here and go to the watch list. We will go. It's been a while since I even looked at them, so I believe this is it. Yes. So you can see communication, which we looked at earlier. This one I would watch on this 20. Communication sector is holding in well, but Facebook has a lot to do with why communication has been holding in so well. If we lose this 20, maybe we can get a move down to the 50. But that one has been to the 20. We come down to the 20 and bounce, to the 20 and bounce. So let's keep an eye on that, and it's got a lot to do with what Facebook's going to do as well. Discretionary. So we can see the gap up here, and that gap up was from Amazon's earnings, and then give it back, pulling in at the end of the day with the rest of the sectors. You can see consumer staples. You can see the rounded top here, pulling back in, strong bearish engulfing candle. It's not a very good looking candle at all. Energy holding in better than a lot of other stocks. And we've talked about crude. We knew crude, Goldman Sachs' statement coming at the end of last month. And we've been hearing a lot of chatter out of OPEC as well. So, energy still holding in. Down day on Friday, but still holding in very well above that 9. Uh, or banks holding in decent, and we see that with JP Morgan. Banks holding in decent here, still trying to hold that daily 20. Not crazy about it. I want it above or below. Looking for a move either way there. You can see the healthcare sector looking pretty rough here, pulling in quickly. Industrials pulling in here as well. So, we can see the market in general pulling back. Here's the material sector, strong down day on Friday as well, bearish engulfing candle. You would expect to see more downside. So, looking at the equal weight, looking at the sectors, real estate pulling back, it does look like that, for the most part, the market does want to pull back. Now, it also does look like we need to keep an eye on the energy names. And, ExxonMobil, Chevron, SLB, ExxonMobil and Chevron, the best of breed, they pay the best. XLK, you got a nice bearish engulfing candle. Looks like it closed barely below that 50, but that's worth keeping an eye on. This is XLK's monthly. See the strong move up, cleared this level. We could easily come back, and it looks like we're trying to retest that level right now. So we could easily bounce off that level, but it looks like we need to come in a little bit and retest some longer term moving averages there. Utility sector raging in. So that's not a good look there neither. That is the weekly chart for XLB. You can see we were starting to push in the material sector and a bearish engulfing candle on the weekly. XLB monthly. This is almost inverted head and shoulders here. Looks like it was trying to break out. So if we were to draw that out, looks like it was trying to break out. So once again, let's draw this out. So you could easily see the material sector pulling back in to retest that before a move higher. You can see the shoulder, head, shoulder. You can clearly see the inverted head and shoulders, and clear breakout of that inverted head and shoulders on the material sector. Now this MACD looked like it was trying to cross and decided not to on this week's candle. Now we could easily see a push here, and we're not super extended on the higher time frame, on the monthly time frame. Communication sector weekly, and this is why we started to watch weekly. You can see the big inverted head and shoulders there that we're pushing up out of. So it wouldn't hurt. This was a nice breakout. And if you remember, we were watching inverted head and shoulders on the daily. So, and that's another look at it on the weekly. Almost looks more like a Batman pattern there. Yes, there's a true Batman pattern. Communications on the monthly chart, pushing higher, strong push here on the monthly chart. But we could definitely see a pullback. And this is energy weekly, still holding in very well. But we are a little extended there on the weekly. Not too bad. XLE monthly, holding in very well. But if you go back, so let's take a better look at that. If you go back here, you can see this 9 is trying to change character. You can definitely see that monthly 9 rolling in. XLF weekly, holding in. XLF monthly, lower high. So is this, once again, is this a lower high? We're seeing higher lows. So very symmetrical triangle-ish there. So lower highs, higher lows. Draw that out if you're looking for a trade there for longer time frames. This is industrial weekly coming back in search of the weekly 9. Industrial monthly, very not perfect, but very inverted head and shoulders. Not perfect, but you can see either way. It's not perfect. It's a base. Draw a line. You did get a breakout there, but it could definitely come in search of that monthly 9. XLK weekly chart coming in. Lost a weekly 9, maybe heading for that 20. You can see XLP weekly chart trading in a pretty tight range there. XLP monthly chart, so you can see slightly higher low or slightly higher high there You can see higher lows coming in. So is this kind of symmetrical triangling right here? You can see the lower high possibly. So is this possibly going to be a lower high? Will we pull back? Is that a trend change? What's happening there? Consumer staples monthly. Real estate weekly chart, very tight range there. Real estate monthly, once again, you can see the tight range. Look how tight, wicks everywhere, especially to the bottom side. XLU, this is XLU's weekly strong bearish engulfing candle. Looks like we should see some more downside. Close down here, need to be below that. Then watch this level here as you're coming into it, but needs to clear that level. And this is utilities monthly. You can draw the same line right down here. You need to clear that whole level to move lower. Healthcare weekly, trading pretty tight in here. You can see a series of higher lows coming into this. And then a breakout right there, coming back, looking for their short-term moving averages. XLV monthly chart, pretty tight range there. Consumer staples, consumer discretionary weekly. This chart looks really good, holding that weekly 9. Like I say, Amazon's, a lot of the bigger players are in that and have been, Tesla have been pushing it higher. And we're seeing some weakness coming into those names, and you can see the monthly chart looks like it's holding in well. Monthly 9 needs to come up in search of some price action. Could definitely see it pulling back there and putting us right back to the SPY, which we know is pulling in. We looked at that during the first part of the video. I hope you find this helpful. Hope you're having a great weekend, and I'll see you in the trading room.